By choice, I went to work straight away. I helped with immunizing at least 100 young men. All were subdued, and I put it down to the fact that they didn't like immunizations. I was in for a rude shock. The very center of Nauru resembles a moonscape with whitish-greyish pinnacles of rock from an old phosphate mine, surrounded by fences, and inside these fences were hundreds of people in tents. I'm talking about tents with stretcher beds, or just boards for beds. Shoulder to shoulder, foot to foot, with no room to roll over. Then, as I have no privacy at all wasn't enough, there was security presence everywhere. Inside tents, outside tents, everywhere. People were absolutely devoid of privacy, day in, day out, in open tents in the tropics. Overcrowding with a mixture of single men, families, unaccompanied minors and pregnant women, all of these people were housed, or rather tented, in open-walled army tents, which were deteriorating in the tropical heat, leaking roofs with tarps put over the top, up to 30 people inside those tents. However, they were not the only inhabitants of those tents. They were accompanied by vermin, large amounts of rats and mice. I had one of the men in for a consultation at about 2 a.m. He was in floods of tears, as his big toe was bleeding profusely. When I finally worked out what had happened, this was a result of him being asleep and being woken by a searing pain in his big toe. A rat had bitten a piece of his toenail off, and the teeth went straight into the nail bed. Charming. On my first night there, I treated a man who was having a psychotic episode. He crawled in front of me in the dirt and begged me to please let him die. Over and over again. This despair is quite common, as I later found out. So I'll talk a bit about the hopelessness and despair here. Due to the never-ending uncertainty and misinformation regarding their future, initially these people had been told that they would stay there for 6 months. Then, when I was there, Scott Morrison visited. This was in December 2012, and he proceeded to tell these people that when he came to power, you will never, ever leave here. As a consequence, the state of their collective mental health deteriorated and was absolutely frightening to watch. Any hope was thwarted, and I actually observed the life draining from their eyes. People without hope have a certain look. You did not address anybody by name, but rather by boat number. Can you imagine calling a little girl, for example, ABC 123, can you come here, please? I made a point of addressing people by their given names, which did not make me very popular with the management. A 13-year-old girl got her first period. She was distraught, as she was in a tent in close quarters with her dad. There were no sanitary products available. She had to wash her undies and hang them out in front of her father, which is culturally totally inappropriate. All she did was cry. Now I go to the concentration camp. The definition of a concentration camp is as follows: a place where a large number of people, especially political prisoners, prisoners of war, or refugees, and members of persecuted minorities are deliberately imprisoned in a relatively small area with inadequate facilities and extremely harsh conditions. Nauru ticked all these boxes. I was disgusted with this situation. Nazi Germany used cattle trains. We use planes. Why, in a country that boasts prosperity and peace, are asylum seekers demonized for safety and freedom? Why does Australia have policies that result in degrading human treatment amounting to torture, without the general public even batting an eyelid?